Hey there, this is Gabriel, product manager for Runner SaaS. And today, for the final time of the year, I'm going through the recent direction update that I did. So let me go ahead and share my screen and then let's jump right in. So just to recap again, Runner SaaS is the group that hosts runners for GitLab. Today, our product portfolio includes SaaS runners on Linux, GPU-enabled SaaS runners, macOS runners, and Windows runners, both in beta. And I've updated our 1 year and 3 year plans as we're now approaching the next year. So primary for fiscal year 2025, our runner theme is gonna be about building the most competitive and complete CI/CD offering that allows customers to build for all common platforms. So we want to kind of be feature complete. I think that's a good way to put it for the next iteration. Big part of that's going to be CI steps, supporting that from a runner perspective. Another part is going to be grid and enabling hosted runners on GitLab dedicated, our single tenant offering. Yeah, and then on top of that, of course, our SaaS fleet. We finally want to transition macOS runners to GA, which we've been working on the full year. We also want to add ARM compute super soon after. There's a lot of people asking for ARM native builds on Linux. So that's going to be super exciting. We also want to add larger runners on macOS, most likely M2s. And in addition, after kind of all of that is worked off, we want to take a step on our Windows runners and also transition them to GA and make them more stable. On top of all of that, so I think so far we've covered the product side of things. We also, as we are a fairly small team, want to reduce operational overheads by dogfooding our new autoscaler and grid. And that's not only about operational overheads and automating stuff for our team. It's also really about making the products that we have and that some customers use, or most customers in the case of the new autoscaler, but also grid to make them more production ready to kind of just get them in a better state. So yeah, that's the 1 year plan. And then I'm really looking forward to the 3 year plan. I think 1 year is just the table stakes to kind of be a complete platform. But then our 3 year plan, we're really trying to be the most cost efficient and fastest CI out there in the market. So there's a lot of things coming. We have a working group on CI build speed where we're investigating a couple of things, how we can further improve the CI build speed of GitLab CI, both for hosted runners, but also GitLab CI in general. We want to introduce something we call dedicated or custom hosted runners, and also to be competitive and to be enterprise ready, a new pricing model, more updates on that when it's time. Yeah, and our vision is that you as a user will be able to request a custom hosted runner in GitLab UI. So you have your own dedicated instance right there in your project with some more advanced features such as a dedicated IP range, SSH access. Oh, that's a hard word to say. SSH access for debugging, and all of that at a very competitive price point, because we really want to address the enterprise use case to finally fully unlock enterprise organizations to focus on software developing and not to focus on the hassle of managing infrastructure. So that's really our goal for the next 3 years. So yeah, very exciting things ahead of us. Jumping into our current scope, kind of recapping what we have recently completed. We have finally got a working iteration for CI steps. There's a great video if you want to try it out by Joe, really going into all the details of what steps is about, how step runner works, how the current step syntax works, and how you can kind of just try it out and play around with it. Keep in mind, it's still an experiment, so there's going to be a lot of updates and changes on the CI steps domain. In addition, another super important thing we've released as experiment is Grid, our GitLab Runner infrastructure toolkit, fleet of, or a suite of Terraform modules and templates to host, and a single entry point really to host GitLab runners. We have started with AWS because that's the use case for GitLab dedicated, and we are doing it to kind of enable them to host runners. But we will eventually also build out the ones for GCP, use it ourselves, and all the other cloud providers. Then we also recently released image macOS 14 together with Xcode 15. There's been very big performance increases just from Xcode 15, so super excited about that. And then a couple of iterations ago, we also released Mac 13, and we added Xlarge into Xlarge runners to our fleet in our efforts to be a more complete full platform kind of. Yeah. So what are we currently working on? Now it's a bit slow the next couple of weeks because of the holiday season, but we are working on Grid, our Linux Docker template on AWS, which I talked about before, to get that to beta, where it's really proof for the GitLab dedicated beta on hosted runners. So if you're a customer on GitLab dedicated, that's something to look out for. If you're not, then you will still be able to use these templates by yourself if you want to self-manage runners, for example. We also want to transition the SaaS runners on Windows to Windows Server 2022 as Windows 2019 reaches end of life, the current version we have. So that's something we want to do before January, just so you're not, even though it's still beta, but we don't want you to have to use an end of life version of Windows Server. And then we are continuing to work on Apple Silicon M1 runners. It's really, maybe just as a small explanation why this takes so long. So first of all, this it's non-trivial. All of the macOS stuff, pulling images, you have to figure out a lot of licenses stuff, and then the real thing is we just have so many different topics that we're working on right now with CI steps, with Grid, macOS, that yeah, it just slows us down as a team a bit. So that's, if you're wondering, that's the main reason why macOS is taking so long right now. Yeah, so what's next for us? In next 3 months, super exciting. Grid to beta, just talked about it. Then CI steps to beta. So currently we have the bootstrapped first iteration. There's a lot of syntactic sugar, for example, that's not there yet. So the next iteration that we're knocking out are going to be exciting from a user perspective. I think that will also include that the CI steps functionality is enabled by default on all runners. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I think it is. So you don't have to hack around to kind of use and try out steps. In addition, Apple Silicon M1 runners to macOS, or on macOS to GA, the classic, what we've been working on since a couple of months now. And then something we've also been working on already is transitioning our SaaS runners to the new autoscaler that has been released a couple of iterations ago. I think it's gonna hit beta in 16.9, so we have a good timing there to transition our runners as well. Yeah, I've also updated the best-in-class landscape. There's not too much that has changed. Yeah, feel free to give it a read, and then if you have any remarks, if you have any wishes for something to change, any input or feedback on the current product, feel free to always reach out. And yeah, I'm looking back on a great year. Thank you, everybody, especially to my team making that possible. And yeah, looking forward to 2022 at 25. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Ciao.